If you think you know Monster Hunter, Wilds is full of surprises. New hunters, this is your tips guide, crafted to help you master the basics and avoid common pitfalls. Veterans, don't skip ahead. We also cover major changes like reworked meal timers and layered armor that's finally player friendly. Wilds overhauls a bunch of systems that you've spent years with. In this video, I break down everything Wilds doesn't spell out. Support hunter info, gearing progress, lucky vouchers, and more. No fluff, no hype, just the major changes, new player info, and all of the why didn't I know about that details you need. Let's get to it. Hunting. First off, eating is now timed. You no longer have to eat before every single hunt. That's actually a pretty big change. Meals now provide buffs over a certain amount of time, usually 20 to 50 minutes, and the timer only counts down when you're outside of your home base. If you need to check your food timer, which is something I struggled to figure out when I first started, the easiest way is to hold the left bumper on your controller. When you do that, it'll show in the top left corner of your screen in red numbers, and that's also how you can confirm whether you're officially hunting or not. Alternatively, you can hop into a tent and go to the grill a meal option, which will let you know what your current buff is and how much longer you have until it expires. When the game introduces the portable barbecue as like the main way to cook, you can use that while you're out on a hunt. But keep in mind that you're vulnerable when doing so. Wilds does not make you invulnerable when you're doing things like cooking, fishing, or firing an SOS flare. Enemies will attack you. Some other quick combat tips. If you're new, remember to sharpen that weapon whenever it's no longer green. Unless you're a bow user like me, who just doesn't have to worry about that. You should also spend some time learning the timing on perfectly dodging monster attacks. Again, if you're new, I can't help but recommend the bow. It's a really good way to learn how to do this since you have to dodge to keep your charge counter up between shots anyway. So you just start to naturally learn when you should be dodging to begin with. Are you struggling with fights? Make sure to send out SOS signals. How you do this is up to you. Support hunters are risk-free and can be tuned for difficulty. My other video covers how to do things like turn on or off setting traps, but you can also set it to call for real-world hunters in your SOS settings. I have a video for that too. But keep in mind that while real-world hunters are likely better overall, at least in general, their feints will deduct from your rewards, and you will give up on having complete control over the hunt's pace. Part of playing with real people is you can't control everything. Just know what you're signing up for. They could destroy the monster before you even really get a chance to do much. You know, there's lots of different things that could happen. One of the things I did was immediately turn on auto SOS, but you can 100% turn that off. Since I use support hunters, I personally prefer to take my time getting to the monster so I can do some gathering along the way, a little exploring, that kind of thing. Once I get to the monster, then I fire the SOS and start the fight myself, letting the support hunter show up a few minutes later. That way I never feel rushed to get there, even if the support hunter won't start the fight without you, at least from what I can tell. That's also an important thing to know. Even when monsters are moving from location to location, most of the time, the support hunter will stick with you. I've only had a hunt or two where the monster didn't move far enough for the hunter to actually wait for me to show up to continue the fight. And sometimes I've even seen them forgo their secret and just run with me to the next location. A few more quick tips. Check out the Monster Field Guide. It's so much better than in previous games. Now it'll straight up tell you what elemental damage to use against each monster, how to counter whatever status effects they give, things like that. No more Googling monster weaknesses before every fight, just pull it open. And while you're at it, another tip, the game gives you a ghillie mantle for free. This is an infinitely reusable item with a cooldown that causes the monster to completely ignore you until you draw its aggro or the timer runs out. Use that time to heal, clean up status effects, move into a different position, mount the monster, or just take a breather and let your support hunters go at it for a bit. Finally, at least for this section, your palico. If you just want to set and forget your palico while you get familiarized with the game, all you have to do is give it some decent armor from time to time, and give it a status effect weapon like paralysis, poison, or sleep. Sleep and paralysis are typically the best since they give you an extended period of free damage, and in previous games Palicos did negligible damage, but as a whole, give them that and you get a free paralysis or free sleep throughout the fight. Now for some tips on game systems. These jump all over the place, so bear with me. 1. There are weekly quests at the support desk. You don't even have to pick these up like bounties in previous games. They're automatically tracked and all you have to do is turn them in. Do your daily check-ins. You'll get things like free lucky vouchers and supplies. Now the game doesn't really explain lucky vouchers, or at least I don't remember it, and if it did I just skipped right past it, which I assume most people did. In short, lucky vouchers double the amount of zenny you get at the end of a quest. It also allows you to get more drops as quest rewards and slightly increases the chances of getting rare drops. If you're playing multiplayer, know that each member of the group can use one lucky voucher per quest, but they are not shared between every party member, so if you activate it, the other 3 don't get it. Lucky vouchers are obtained once per real life day with that login bonus like I said. In the event you miss a day, you'll still get all of the lucky vouchers in the next login bonus. However, you can only carry 5 at a time, so be sure to use them before checking in for the day. The game will prompt you to use them when you start a hunt, asking you to hold the start button for controller users. Another cool change, you can now use binoculars to identify crown monsters before killing them. This is less important for casual players, but a lot of core monster hunters want to find and hunt these rare versions of monsters, which are either miniature and giant gold or large silver. Previously, you would have to kill the monster and then you would find out its size, but now you can just inspect it from a distance and know before you commit any of your time. If you're just starting out and you've played the beta, know that weather is not turned on right away, so no, there's nothing wrong with your settings. Weather is just part of the story and it's unlocked by story progression. Keep playing and you will unlock it. And I know, at least for veterans, some of you may be wondering if hunting or capturing is better. In Worlds, it was the latter, in Rise, the former. I haven't yet seen definitive math on that with this game yet, but I will let you know when I find out. For new players, just know that there are usually some monster materials that can only be dropped when capturing, and others that can only be dropped with hunting. So if you're looking for a specific material to craft with, make sure you're checking your Monster Hunter guide for details. I have a section here about settings, but realistically, there's just too many. There are so many settings that I actually have an entire video dedicated just to that. So go ahead and check that out. It'll be in the description or in the card that just popped up. You can control armor appearances in the tent. So if you just crafted a new chest piece that you find particularly bad looking, even super early on in the game, you can turn it off. Or, if you want, you can just turn on underclothes so you don't have skin showing through various pieces. Entirely up to you. If you're a veteran and looking for transmog, which is called layered armor in Monster Hunter, that doesn't unlock until you reach high ranks and start crafting the high rank version of the armors. The good news is, they made a significant change in that once it's crafted as high rank armor, it automatically becomes available as layered armor. No more going out of your way just to unlock things a third time. Craft what you want to collect once you reach high rank. And for new players, maybe even veteran players, take a look at the radial system. It has some really handy shortcuts, especially for new players, that will automatically use the best healing possible for you. In that case, it'll use regular health potions when you just need a top up, mega potions when you're really struggling, and first aid when you're in between. Same for optimal status effects, which is a big one, honestly. No more needing to bounce back between antidotes and null berries in your inventory. It's one button. Now let's dive into the ever-important preparation and resource management. It should come as no surprise that you need to both unstock and restock after every hunt. You don't want that inventory to fill up after all. So here's what I recommend you do. Stock up on potions and essential items before difficult hunts. Don't be afraid to head back to a tent to restock. Set up item loadouts so you can empty your inventory of gathered materials after every fight. And likewise, since you're limited on space, if you know what you're hunting, make loadouts for hunts where it require specific items like deodorant. Item management can really be a nightmare, but there are ways to make it super simple. There's another change if you're a veteran of Monster Hunter that may take some time getting used to, especially if you're not one to use your Sacred much like me. I never really use the dogs in Rise either, I just don't like mounts. I don't know what it is, I'm weird. But there are no longer boxes at the start of each hunt where you can take some free consumables. Instead, that inventory is now on board your Sacred, opened with the left D-pad by default on the controller. The benefit to this change is that these free items can be snagged whenever, and they also restock periodically throughout the quest. Alma will let you know when that happens, she verbally says it. And since each Sacred is personal, there's no need to worry about leaving some supplies behind in the box for other hunters that join. You can be greedy. Now for some notes on gearing. If you're new, as I was once upon a time we all were, it's really easy to just focus on how much armor and elemental resistance a piece of gear offers. But in general, armor perks are far more important than armor, and definitely far more important than elemental resistances. Bow users, for example, really need skills that decrease stamina usage. So make sure to inspect each new set of armor that is unlocked for crafting before planning which ones you'll actually use. And use the wishlist feature so you don't have to check whether or not you have the materials you need yet after each fight. But make sure to check if there are new things to craft after each fight with a new monster. Sometimes those materials will unlock new armor to craft. The good news when it comes to exploration and gathering is not much has changed. That said, the Slinger is meant to gather nearly everything, and you should use it as much as you can. Sadly, it's just so much faster to snag things from a distance than to run up to everything to gather it. I don't know. Long term, I probably won't miss that, but right now it doesn't feel very Monster Hunter, but I'll probably just get used to it. Is this how people felt about the silk bind or whatever it was that let you jump around and rise? Anyway. There are, of course, certain nodes like mining nodes and bones that need to be gathered by hand. If you see those white dotted lines on your map and are confused as to what they are, they're Sacred exclusive routes. So if you want to traverse those, you'll need to mount up first. I was trying to figure out what those were. It took me a while because I don't use my Sacred enough, and I was just like, huh, what's this? Anyway, that's what they are. And finally, speaking of, don't be afraid to not use your Sacred if you're playing solo. You can still 100% walk to objectives and explore along the way. Before I go, a few quick notes on multiplayer etiquette. Don't wake up sleeping monsters unless you have a powerful attack ready, preferably after placing bombs. It gives everyone a chance to get ready, and when in doubt, just let someone else do the big attack. That way, you don't get blamed for screwing something up. Be mindful of other players' positions during combat. In previous games, you could interrupt each other and stagger each other. Unless you had a specific decoration called Shock Absorber on, it can be really obnoxious if everyone keeps interrupting each other, and the decoration disables damage reactions when you hit a friend or when a friend hits you. I'm not sure that's still a thing, as I'm largely playing with support hunters, but now you know to look out for it. And as a note, when you're in higher level content, it can definitely be appreciated if you bring group healing, group antidotes, etc. And that's it, 31 quick tips for the first dozen or so hours in Monster Hunter. Well, a dozen hours if you're like me and doing the optional stuff and taking your time and being really slow. I know I didn't cover absolutely everything, like what affinity is, the intricacies of each weapon type, but you gotta draw the line somewhere. Thanks so much for watching. If this guide helped you out, don't forget to drop a like and subscribe for more content like this. I've got guides in setting optimization, SOS features, and support hunters already up on the channel. Like I said, you'll find those linked in the description below. If you have a specific Monster Hunter question you'd like me to cover, would love to hear it. Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to hit that notification bell. I never ask for this, but I'm getting yelled at for not doing it. Or if you want to help out with engagement, quote unquote, just leave an emoji in a comment so YouTube knows how much you enjoyed this. Emojis, yay. This is just the start of my Monster Hunter tips series. While this one is focused on early game stuff, I'll be back with mid-game and end-game tips just as soon as I finally get there myself. For now though, I think that's it. I'll see you next time.